Um, excellent. All right, so welcome. For those of you, it does not look like I have any of my students or few of my students in. So welcome, I am Dr. Courtney Hoffman. I teach one of the, or two of the 4701 sections, and I would like to say thank you very much to those of you who have joined us today, and especially Allison Tant and Risha Reed from Europe, who have come to answer the questions that you all have. I think the easiest way to start this process, and Allison or Risha, if you have any suggestions for a different strategy, or Dr. Meismer or Dr. Howard, if you do as well, is that we have some questions that students submitted to us. So I thought it might be helpful for us to go through those quickly. And then for the students who are here, if you have any questions that you want to put into the chat, if they are follow-up questions, if they are at all relevant to what I was going to ask in the list of questions that I have ready to go, if your question is basically the same question or is relevant to that one, just let us know. Or I will, if you put it in the chat, Dr. Meismer or I can call on you to say, here's a question ready to go. Does that work for everyone? Excellent. Okay. Allison and Risha, do you want to say anything before we start? Any introductory material you have or anything? You don't have to.
So yes, thank you again for inviting us to have this conversation. We're super excited for everyone who's on the call. This is a program that keeps on growing, and we are so happy that you're a part of that growth. And we're also here as a resource for you. So outside of this conversation, it doesn't stop here. And so feel free, you can jump onto our website, europe.gatech.edu, and find the relevant information there. But you also have our contact information, so you can always shoot us an email at europe@gatech.edu. We'll put those in the chat for you as well. And you can always just reach out if you have a question outside of our conversation today. We're still a resource for you. Allison, anything?
No, I think Risha covered it a lot of also what we're going to cover. And a great website is if you go to the research options section of the UROB website, a lot of the questions that we are asked by students in regards to where do I upload my proposal, where's the certification form for the thesis, where do I upload my thesis, all of that is on our website. So usually we ask students to start there. And then if you have a more specific question, then we can delve deeper into that. But that's all I have. So I guess we can start with the questions, Courtney.
Sure. Okay. So I have 5 sections. The final one is just the final question, but they are thesis requirements, the review process, advice type questions, and sort of miscellaneous.
Okay.
So I do know that you mentioned the research option webpage. So the first question really is, where can students find a list of thesis requirements? And is that where they should go?
So I've had this question posed a couple of different ways by students. So if you're looking for the formatting of the thesis, no, that is not on the website. The formatting of the thesis should be discussed between you and your faculty mentor. We're not concerned if it's APA, we're not concerned if it's science. Our main focus for our office, what we're seeing is making sure that students complete requirements, i.e. they take the 2 writing courses, they have the 9 hours of research, and that they fill out and have the proposal uploaded and signed by 2 faculty mentors, your primary mentor and your second reader, and your certification of form for the thesis itself, that's signed by the 2 readers, the school, and yourself. That's our main focus. As for the formatting of what that thesis looks like when you write it, that really is between you and your mentor and how they want it. We've had students that have submitted a very substantial peer-reviewed journal article, and that's been acceptable for their thesis. And we have students who submit thesis. So again, it's what your primary mentor is wanting and how they want it done. Risha, do you have anything to add to that?
No, it's very much, and hopefully we've checked our website multiple times, but if you go to the link in the chat that says RO, you'll actually see a link that says requirements on that page. And so you can actually click and it gives you the breakdown of exactly what is needed at every stage, including what's tied to LMC 4701 and also LMC 4702. And so if any of that is still not clear, then feel free to reach out to us. But we want to make sure that you have something in writing that substantiates what we're talking about.
Great. Thank you. That answered at least two of the other questions on this list. So that's excellent. Those were what are the formatting requirements and length requirements. So as you said, those
it just has to be substantial, right? Whatever that sounds like, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the next question is, will I be presenting my thesis in front of other people as a form of final presentation, or will it be just submitted through my class? And you touched on that a little bit in that answer, but I think just to clarify.
So again, it boils down to the school as well. So certain schools have certain requirements, and those requirements you need to meet with. If you're concerned about what those requirements are, you need to meet with the research option coordinator for that school. The only one that requires it being presented to a third party or a third group of people is the chemical engineering department. Chemical engineering, biomolecular engineering requires an oral defense. That is the only one that we know of that requires it to go to another group of people. But if you are asked to present your work on a poster in your writing courses, you need to be doing that. That's part of your assignments. But as for an oral defense or a dissertation type defense, the only school that we are aware of is chemical and biomolecular engineering.
Okay, great. That's good to know. All right, so the next questions will be for the review processes. Is there a separate review phase beyond the first and second reader? And it seems like the answer to that is no, except in the case of chemical and biomedical engineering.
That is correct.
Okay. What is the actual role of the second reader?
So when this program was put forward, you're talking, this was 15 years ago. So the idea was to have two individuals who would look at the work. Your primary faculty mentor, who's who you're working under. And so they're providing their feedback. The purpose of the second reader is to have a second pair of eyes, and a second pair of eyes to review and provide feedback. Consider that if you're providing work to be published in a peer-reviewed journal, it's not going to one person. It's going to a group of people. And I'm sure that Dr. Hoffman, Dr. Meismer, Dr. Howard can echo that in their publications. It's not just one person looking at it. So we're wanting to get more than one person's feedback on what you have submitted, and to also get a good idea of how best to put that out there. Consider that your mentor may have somebody else that they want them to look at. So that is the whole purpose of the second reader. It also makes sure that we're getting two faculty members reviewing the proposal and the written thesis, because we are also publishing that written thesis. And so we're saying these two individuals have reviewed it. These are your peers, and they are their peer reviewers. And they have said, this is quality work, and this is publishable work.
Okay, thank you. What should every student's expectations be regarding their advisor's feedback on drafts? That's maybe a little bit more murky.
I think consider who you're meeting with. Consider that.
Yes.
If they're supporting your work, whether it be for research credit, a letter graded credit, or if they're paying you for your work, ultimately, it's not just your name on it, it's their name on it. And so you should take what they say seriously. You should be asking questions about why they're giving you this feedback. I know Risha is in the process of getting her PhD. So I'm sure that she takes her mentors' feedback seriously, because ultimately their name is going to be there as well. And anything that's tied to their name, and it is a prestigious name, and they've got millions of dollars in funding with that name, they want to make sure that what is going out there is the quality that they're looking for. So you should take what they're saying seriously, because again, it will be published. We don't hold it indefinitely. We don't not publish. It will be published within 2 years max of you graduating, if not immediately upon graduation. And their name is listed on that title page.
And also keep in mind that when you're actually writing this as well, before you even submit the very first time, who you're submitting to. So to Addison's point, the professor is actually off record. Their names are going to be on it. And so when you're writing up your proposal, think about that as well in terms of submit quality work, because it is important. The better the quality you submit, the less work, the less comments, the less feedback you're going to get, because of the work you've actually put in, and you've actually paid attention to any of the meetings and conversations with both your LMC faculty advisor and also your graduate student mentor, all of that. So take those in mind before you actually submit your assignment.
Mm-hmm. I think this is one of the reasons that we try to emphasize meeting with your advisor and getting feedback along the way as well, so that there's less work to do at the very end, right before the deadline.
And that's a good point, Dr. Hoffman, is that what we have heard back from faculty mentors as well, and it's not just, we're hearing the reverse of that. This is the first time they realize the students involved in the research option. This is the first time they're seeing large scale amounts of work. So it is important, if you're not meeting with your faculty mentor, you need to be meeting with them at least once a month, if not twice a month. Even if you primarily work with a graduate student, you need to make sure that you are looped in. If there are email communications, you need to be looped in on those. It's also important that you get your second reader, not the week before it's due. Your second reader, you don't know what they're going to put in their responses, and they very well could see a lot of things that need to be changed. So you need to be, I would go to your primary mentor and say, Dr. Smith, who would you recommend as my second reader? And start there, because they're going to be able to do that. The other thing is that if you are in a specific school, computer science, biomedical engineering, neuroscience, those are 3 schools that this is part of your degree option. If you have chosen this to get your final degree, you need to make sure that you have followed the rules. We're seeing students that are going for it with computer science, but not with a computer science faculty mentor. That requires a petition to get that outside mentor approval. Then you have to have a second reader who's in computer science. All of these are things that you, as the student, need to be checking off. It is not the responsibility of Ms. Reed or myself to stay on top of it. That is your responsibility. And so we want to make sure that we're not finding these things out halfway through the class. It's also not Dr. Mesmer's or Dr. Hoffman's or Dr. Howard's to make sure you're meeting with your mentor and getting signatures. If you're finding it difficult for that, then reach out to us. We're happy to coordinate and get the research option coordinator involved if need be, so that we can make sure your work is being reviewed.
But the earlier you do it, the less drama that's associated with it, and also the less sleepless nights you have. And so if you can tackle it as soon as possible, then we can head off some of the issues that sometimes are unsolvable closer to that end of semester, because your faculty member may be going on sabbatical. They may be taking vacation. They've planned out their semester, and you may not necessarily be aware of those plans. So you're planning to say, oh, I will tackle this the last week in November. first week in December, they may already have plans to not be here, but they've done all the work that they need to do based on what they think they have going on. And you have something that you have other plans for them. And so you want to make sure that you're on their radar as soon as possible.
And the same goes if you're graduating for the semester you're graduating, make sure you're getting that to the research option coordinator in a timely fashion. Again, we take vacation like everybody else. And so if you're submitting it the week it's due and they have gone out on vacation and you're getting an out office response, you know, again, these are things you've got to follow up on, because we're not going to sit there and track somebody down for you.
And we'll try.
We'll try,
but
we try, but we have had it happen more and more often where we're getting emails from students saying, well, they're already gone on vacation. What do I do? Well, this was a conversation you should have had. So there's DocuSign. We take electronic signatures. We can help you with that. These are all things that we need some leeway to help that. We can't do it in a 24-hour turnaround time.
And the plus side, when you think about whether or not you should take what we're saying seriously, is the reality that a lot of these persons, because you work with them so extensively, they will be your recommenders when you're going to graduate school or future job employment. And so you want to leave that wonderful taste in their mouth when they think of your name, to say, this person is always on top of it. They have actually made my life easier and not harder. And so it actually challenges into other things as well, where they can actually write a very positive review because you have been ahead of everything that you need to actually get done. So keep that in mind. There's many benefits to actually kind of being ahead of the 8 ball and actually doing what you need to do earlier than later.
I think that's great advice, and I wish I took it more myself. But I'm going to move on to advice type questions. And I think this is a little bit related when we talk about getting ahead of the game and not procrastinating to the last minute. If we're not collecting data in between semesters, is it recommended to work on an outline or brainstorming or something along those lines on the thesis over winter break? For example, this particular student who submitted this was worried about pacing for the writing of the thesis in the spring, because they're also going to be drafting personal statements and other parts of the application for med school.
I would think so. If you can do, if you're on a break, so you got fall break, you get Thanksgiving break, you get winter break. If you can do some of that outside and have a preparation before that big writing push comes, when you know you're going to have personal statements, you're going to have essays, you're going to have applications, whatever it is going to fall on your plate. Absolutely. The more you do earlier, the better prepared you're going to be, and the less you're going to be stressing out. And it has happened, or coming and crying in my office. Because I had a student come and cry in my office because the faculty member refused to sign 2 days before graduation. So the more you do ahead and the more you prepare, the better off you're going to be overall.
I would also say it's important to speak with your graduate mentor and also your first/second reader as well, because they can give you some guidance of what you can do that's productive during the break. What you wouldn't want to do is spend your break time deciding what you want to do, and then it doesn't align when you come back in, because I personally hate busy work. And I don't know if you do as well. And so if that's the case, it would be good to actually get some advice to say, hey, you're heading in this direction. How about, like, let them know, I actually want to do some things over the break. And so what do you think I should, channel my energy into? And then that way becomes a productive time, so that when you come in, you can actually just dive right in and not be frustrated because you're not on that path that you're actually supposed to be on. So keep that in mind as well.
That's good advice. Here's another one. What one piece of advice if you'd give students when working on their proposals and theses when they're lacking motivation?
Remember, you're going to be graded on this. I say it. There are grades involved. There are GPA implications involved. And if you don't think it can happen, It can. We have had students fail these writing courses. They have gotten Fs. They have got incompletes. So those are some real world ramifications. The other is if this is for your degree, CS, BME, neuroscience, they can prevent you from getting your diploma, meaning you will not graduate. And that has actually happened to a student. So think about what you're doing this, why you're doing it, what it's for, and think about how that's going to impact your degree and or your GPA.
And I want to add to that, because depending on the type of personality you are, different things may motivate you. And so definitely, I sometimes get motivated by punitive things like I'm going to fail this, so I need to actually step it up. But sometimes it may be that you need a positive to actually motivate you as well. And so in that case, celebrate and celebrate the small things that you're doing. So everything that you do is a win, moving towards that deadline of what you need to accomplish. And also think about the positives of why you're going to actually get whatever you need to get done. So the fact that you're going to get your degree and all of that, but a stronger why may be that this will help me get to the grad school I want, right? Because you actually, this is a fantastic conversation that we will have with any employer, future employer, or graduate office to actually say you've actually deep dived into research and you know how to write about it, because trust me, you spend the entire first 2 years of graduate school going, I don't know what I'm doing, and you're ahead of that game. And so think about the different ways in which you're actually developing a skill set that you can use positively in the future. And your LMC faculty persons are here to help you with that. So I sometimes go with when I was an undergraduate student, I would actually get a whiteboard marker and actually get a glass, and I'd actually write out my why as to why I need to actually do this. Because in the 7 o'clock on a Friday, when your friends say, let's go out, and you actually need to write your outline for your paper, the going out may seem much better than actually staying in and actually getting this accomplished. So having something visible may actually help you, but definitely, I guess, highlight your why and remind yourself of that over and over again.
It's good. I like that. What's something you wish students would know or remember during the process, the proposal and thesis writing process? C's.
One thing is that the writing courses themselves are permit based. And so it is very, very important that you're not going to Oscar and requesting the permit, that you have actually filled out the forms on our website for if you want to submit an application to be part of the research option, that you do that. And that you also, when you're ready to take 4702, you go and fill out that application, because those are the only two ways you're going to get into the course. And you need to be doing it in a timely fashion. Please do not wait till phase 2 registration, because what we have seen is, because this has become so popular, seats are gone, or the seats for the popular section are gone. And then Risha and I are getting emails from students, well, I have to be in this specific one. And you need to understand that we're not going to be giving overrides. We're not going to be adding extra seats. We're not going to be doing that, because these instructors may be teaching 2, 3, 4 sections at 15 to 40 students a piece per section. So we're not going to ask them to take on another 2, 3 when they already have 100 students. That's not fair to them. And so we're not going to do that. These are permit-based courses. Also, don't be emailing the school saying you need to give me a permit. They don't have to. You need to be coming through our office for that. Second thing, the password changes every semester. And I mean every semester. If you put in the wrong password or the password from the previous semester, you're not going to get a permit. You're going to be denied. Also, be sure that you're putting in the right course. What we were seeing is we were seeing students that were saying, I need this course for the research for my graduation, but they meant another LMC course. It wasn't 4701 or 4702. It was a completely different course. So you need to fill out our applications. Our passwords change each semester. And if you're unsure of where to find, that is under the research option tab. It says LMC 4701 application, LMC 4702 application. And those have to be filled out because we are verifying that you have a faculty mentor. We're verifying that the school actually does the research option. And for 4702, we're making sure that you have at least 6 hours of research and have taken 4701. And that you're where you need to be to move into that. And if you're not, then we're going to be reaching out and having a conversation about what our concerns are to make sure that you are on track.
And I would say deadlines, deadlines, deadlines. Remember your deadlines. That will keep you straight. That will help you to figure out and be a little bit less worried about the whole entire process and actually know what the process is. I think it's sometimes tricky when like, I don't know how do I complete the research option? I've signed up for LMC and 4701. And then as much as I, remember, retain about the entire process, remember what you actually need to do to complete the research option, because that will make it so much smoother for you in the long run. You don't have to be as stressed out as students sometimes get because they don't exactly know what's happening. And they're just spinning their wheels and hoping that something sticks. So
yeah, and all that information is on the website. It's not some magic. We don't hide it. All of that is there on the website. And if it's still unclear to you, then set up a time to meet with Risha or myself. We will be more than happy to meet with you and walk you through it.
We want you to succeed. We're not sitting
Exactly.
here going like, no, we want you to do well in the program, and all our LMC faculty wants the same, along with our research option coordinators. And so we're all rooting for your success. And so keep that in mind, that we're here to help you and we're not pushing you out the door. We want to make sure that you are where you need to be and that you're comfortable with the process.
So we've got about 5 minutes left, and I want to give anybody who's here a chance to ask any questions before I ask the final couple. So if you've got one, you can speak up.
I can throw in the chat if you feel more comfortable.
Or that too. Yep, absolutely.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for having this meeting. And I have a question. Like I had a LMC 4702 class this semester, but I'm graduating next semester. I was wondering if it's possible that the thesis submission can be submitted next semester.
Yes. Risha, do you want to answer, or do you want me just to?
You can answer, but it's a quick one.
Yeah, it's a really quick question. So if you have a semester before you graduate and you're taking the course now, you have two choices. You can either submit it now and get your certification form turned in ahead of time and take care of it in this fall at the end of the semester, or you can wait until your graduating semester. Either one works for us. But you want to make sure that when you're submitting that thesis, that is the final draft, because you can't change what you upload in the system. You would then have to resubmit a second. So every time you make a change or you upload or you change the written thesis you're putting in the Vireo system, you have to create a new application. So whatever you're submitting, that needs to be it, final.
Okay. So I need to be really careful about the final submission to the Europe.
Oh, well, yeah.
Make sure it's your final copy. Make sure it's the one that you want set in stone. And also make sure you remember.
Okay. Since I'm taking the thesis class this semester, and like the final thesis I will submit to the class is not the final.
Oh, we understand that. We
Thanks.
understand that. So what you're submitting for the final grade in the class is one thing. What we want you to submit for publication is the final final, last, no changes, no edits version. And so if you're graduating next semester, we know that work can continue into next semester.
Okay, so if I'm understanding correctly, I can submit a final draft for this thesis class, and then if I'm not like satisfied by this semester's work, I can continue with the draft and then submit a final version next semester before I'm graduating.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Just
That's
don't
good.
forget to do it.
Okay.
Yes.
Sure. Thank you.
And what
Good
what I'll do is we'll be sending emails out to students starting next month. And we copy your readers on those and your research option coordinators on those. And so we ask, what semester are you planning to graduate? And I keep a record of, if you're planning to graduate next semester and you haven't submitted anything to me, you're going to get emails next semester saying you still haven't submitted anything. We need you to submit that. But you've got to stay on top and read your emails.
Okay, thank you so much. I think that's all my questions.
And also work with your first and second reader again, because you can't be at the final week of school going, oh yeah, I need to do this thing, I got the email. You should be ahead of that to actually get that approved by your first and second reader as well, ahead of the deadline.
Any other questions? Okay, two really quick ones, I think. Does Georgia Tech own the research in published undergraduate theses?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. And will I be able to
keep in mind that, sorry, your mentor, you're working on their research project. And so you can't just publish anything you want, because that's their primary research that you're working on. So they have to give approval. So just keep that in mind, that while Georgia Tech doesn't like say, hey, it is mine, it is not Georgia Tech's, it's your research mentor. So you can't publish anything without them saying, you can't present on it, you can't do anything without them actually seeing what you're doing first, because you're representing them and they're representing Georgia Tech.
Okay, that's a great clarification. When will I be able to see that I'm doing the research option on my DegreeWorks page?
You will not see it on DegreeWorks.
Okay.
Unfortunately, that is one of the hiccups in DegreeWorks, that the research option, because it is a transcript designator program, it is not a diploma or a actual degree program. It is a transcript designator. It is not in DegreeWorks. That is why it is so important that you are filling out the applications on our website, because that's the only trackable record we have. That is why Risha and I look very closely as to who's filling out to participate in the program, and I keep very detailed records. If you filled out the application 15 times, I have all 15 records, because we have to know.
Great. Thank you. And I think this is a good place to end, which is why I had it for my final question. Is there someone or something I can go to for future questions about this process and what Georgia Tech expects from me as I complete my undergraduate research?
Yes, we're here.
Yes.
Or,
go to the UROP webpage or email us.
Yeah, and that's all in the chat.
Yes.
And so yes. And if you have something specific about your actual the school that you're doing it with, the research coordinators are there as well, and that link is also in the chat, so you can actually speak to them, because there are certain things that are specific very much to that school, but general questions, we're here for you.
All right, great. Well, it is 2:01, so thank you very much for answering these questions for us. We know who to contact if we have any further ones, and thank you all for coming. I know I didn't get a chance to thank everybody who had to run before now, but Shin and Thomas, thank you very much. Dr. Howard, thank you for being here. And Risha and Allison, thank you very much for doing this.